Hi guys, welcome back again to our video tutorials. In this lesson, we are going to factor out the perfect square trinomial. Once again, I am Ma'am Coren, your teacher for today. In this lesson, we are going to factor out the perfect square trinomial. And having the knowledge of getting the square root of numbers is very essential in factoring the PST. So before we have a formal discussion about PST, let us review getting the square root of these numbers. Will you kindly give me the square root of 100? Yes, the answer is 10. Since 10 squared is equal to 100, in getting the square root of a number, we must think of a number that when we multiplied it by itself, the answer will become the given. So in this case, that is 100. For our next given, this is 144. So what is the square root of 144? Yes, that is 12. Since 12 times 12 or 12 squared is equal to 144. How about 36? Correct. The square root of 36 is 6. This one, 81. What is the square root of 81? Yes, 9 squared is equal to 81. How about 289? 17. Let us check. 17 squared is actually equivalent to 289. So you are right. How about the square root of 9? Yes, it's 3. 64? Correct. The square root of 64 is 8. How about 25? Yes, that is 5. Since 5 squared is equal to 25. How about 169? You are also correct. 13 squared is equal to 169. If we have 121, what is the square root of 121? Yes, that is 11. How about the square root of 4? Correct, it is 2. How about 49? Yes, you're also correct with 49 since 7 squared is equal to 49. How about 16? Yes, 16 is equal to 4 squared. I guess you are now ready with a discussion of perfect square trinomial. Trinomial is a polynomial with 3 terms, while the perfect square trinomial is a trinomial wherein the first and the last term are perfect squares. It is actually a product whenever we multiply a binomial by itself or we square a binomial. There are two types of perfect square trinomial. The first one, the middle term is positive while the other one is negative. For the following examples, we are going to determine if the trinomial is actually a perfect square trinomial or simply a trinomial. So let us have the following examples. So let's do this. And the following numbers, we are going to determine if the following trinomial is a perfect square trinomial or not. So on the first one, we have a squared minus 22a plus 121. So first, we must get the square root of a squared as well as 121. And a squared, the square root of a squared, is actually equivalent to, yes, it's a. How about the square root of 121? Correct, that is 11. And then, do not forget to multiply it always by 2. Since whenever we square a binomial, the middle term is always twice the product of the first and the last term. So we multiply 11 by 2, which is 22 times a, will give us 22a. And then you check the middle term if that is also the middle term written here. So therefore, it is a perfect square trinomial. How about on this next example? We have b squared minus 18x plus 16. So once again, you get the square root of b squared, which is b, square root of 16, yes, it's 4, and then you multiply again by 2. So 4 times 2 will give us 8, and then multiply it with b, which is 8b. Is 8b the middle term written on our example? No. Written here is 18. So therefore, it is not a perfect square trinomial. How about in number 3? 100 plus 50 plus e squared. So we all know that the square root of 100 is 10 and the square root of e squared is e. So again, you multiply it by 2. So we have 10 times 2 will give us 20 times e will give us 20e. So again, the middle term is not a correct term, so therefore it is not a perfect square trinomial. How about on the fourth given? It's a squared plus 28 plus 25. So the square root of a squared, yes, it's a. How about the square root of 25? Correct, it's 5. And then again, you multiply it by 2. So 5 times 2 is 10, and then multiply it by a. So this should be 10a. And written here is only 20a. So therefore, it is not a perfect square trinomial. How about a squared minus 4x plus 4? So the square root of a squared, correct, that is a. Square root of 4 squared or 4, correct, that is 2. And then again, you multiply it by 2. So 2 times 2, correct, that is 4. And then by a, so we have 4a. Or written here is actually x. So though we have the correct numerical coefficient but wrong variable, therefore it is not also a perfect square trinomial. So how do we factor out perfect square trinomial? I know you're already familiar in determining if a trinomial is a perfect square trinomial or not. So in getting the PST or the perfect square trinomial factors, we have the factors x plus y times the quantity x plus y if the middle term is actually positive. But if the middle term is negative, we have the factors quantity x minus y times the quantity x minus y. Actually, this is similar to what we did a while ago. It is just that we determine first if the trinomial is a perfect square trinomial. If it is not, so we cannot have this following factoring technique. And then you may write it as the square of a binomial. Just like what I've mentioned earlier, the square of binomial is actually the PST. So therefore, if we get the factors of PST, we are aiming for the squared binomial. So let us factor x squared plus 10x plus 25. So again, we get the square root of x squared, which is, yes, it's x. Square root of 25, correct, that is 5. So x times 5, yes, it's 5x times 2, so which is 10x. So therefore, it is a PST. So we can have the factoring technique of PST. The middle term here is actually positive. So we write positive between x and 5. So since this is, or these are factors, we write another quantity which is composed of x plus 5. Or in simplified form, we can write it as x plus 5 squared. So this is the factor of x squared plus 10x plus 25. How about this one? 16x squared minus 72x plus 81. So again, we get the square root of the first term, which is 16x squared. Yes, that is 4x. How about the square root of 81? Correct. The square root of 81 is actually equivalent to 9. So we multiply 4 by 9, that is 36. And then twice the product, so we multiply it by 2, which will give us 72. So therefore, the trinomial is already a perfect square trinomial. So let us input the other symbols or the other terms needed to complete our factors. So the middle term here is negative. So we are going to place a negative sign. and then enclose them in a parenthesis, and then the other one is also similar to our first factor, which is 4x minus 9. So in simplified form, we can write this one as 4x minus 9 squared. So there you have it. This is the factor of 16x squared minus 72x plus 81. So let us have another example. Let us have 9a squared minus 24a plus 16. So again, you get the square root of 9a squared, which is correct. That is 3a. How about the square root of 16? Correct. That is 4. So 3 times 4, that is 12, times 2, do not forget 2, so that is 24. The sign on the middle is negative. Correct. So we apply the negative symbol. We may write another factor here, or you may simply square it, since it is a square of binomial. And that is a factor for 9a squared minus 24a plus 18. How about this one? We have 4x cubed minus 24x squared plus 36x. So at first sight, you would not notice that it's a perfect square trinomial, right? The first instruction for you before you factor out is you may get first the common monomial factor. And what is that common monomial factor in this given? Yes, we must factor out x first before we proceed factoring the remaining terms. So if we move out x with these numbers or with this term, so we will be given with 4x squared. Now we are on the second degree, minus 24x plus, yes, that is plus 36. Now, when we now get the factor of 4x squared minus 24x plus 36, so let us try. What is the square root of 4x squared? Yes, that is 2x. How about the square root of 36? Correct, that is 6. 6 is actually the square root of 36. And 2 times 6 will give us 12. Twice the product again, so that is 24x. So therefore, the terms inside the parentheses now is a perfect square trinomial. So let us continue our process. So since the symbol in the middle term is negative, so we copy the negative sign, we place them inside the parentheses, and then we square them. But do not forget the x that we factor out a while ago. So you place x on the outside of the parentheses. And that is the factor of 4x cubed minus 24x squared plus 36x. This time, let us practice in getting the factors of perfect square trinomial. And this one, we have x squared plus 10x plus 25. So we already have one factor, which is x plus 5. So what must be the other factor? Correct. That is x plus 5. How about on the second given? What is the square root of 16x squared? Yes, it's 4x. How about the square root of 9? Correct, that is 3. And then we put the negative sign here. You may also check if it is PST. 4 times 3 is 12 times 2, 24. So still, it is a perfect square trinomial. How about this one? The last term in a trinomial is missing. So what must be our last term? Yes, that is 16. Since we square 4. How about on this one? 49x squared plus 28x plus 4. So, yes, we get the square root of 49x squared, which is 7x. That's right. How about 4? Correct. That is 2. So, the middle term here is positive. That's why we're placing positive on this side. So, you copy for the other binomial. And then we check 7 times 2. correct? It's 14 times 2 will give us 20. So whenever we write it in simplified form or squared binomial, we also have the same number or the same content of our binomial. Lastly, the trinomial is actually the missing one here. So with the squared, correct, we simply copy it. So it's 2x minus 4. Since trinomial is missing, we just reverse the process. So we square the first term, that is 4x squared. How about 4? Correct. That is 16. And then we multiply the two terms. So 2 times 4, that will give us 8 times 2, which is 16. So we have 16x. The last term is always positive, while for the middle term, again, we copy it from the middle term of the binomial. So that is our trinomial or perfect square trinomial. This time, let us factor completely the following perfect square trinomial. For the first one, let us have x squared plus 6x plus 9. So what are the factors of x squared plus 6x plus 9? Correct. That is x plus 3. We get the square root of the first term and the square root of the last term. And then we place the square root here. Is the middle term correct? Yes. Since x plus 3 times 2 will give us 6x. How about x squared minus 18x plus 81? So the square root of x squared, correct, it is x. And the square root of 81, yes, it's 9. The middle term or the sign between the term is, yes, it's negative, similar to the term or the sign of our middle term. How about 1 plus 8x plus 16x squared? Square root of 1, correct, it's 1. How about 16x squared? Yes, it's 4x. Copy the sign between them and then you square it. 4 times 2, it's 8. So that is right. Or we have the correct middle term. How about n squared minus 8n plus 16? Square root of n squared? Yes, it's n. Square root of 16? Correct. That is 4. Copy the sign. So this is negative. And then lastly, we have y squared plus 14y plus 49. What is the square root of y squared? Yes, it's y. Square root of 49? Correct. That is 7. And then we copy the sign of the middle term. So that is how we factor perfect square trinomial. So let us sum up what you have learned in this video. Will you kindly fill up the following statements with the correct word or terms? In factoring perfect square trinomial, the following should be noted. So determine the square root of the blank and the last term. Correct. That is first term. Express the square root as binomial and copy the sign of what? What sign are we copying? Correct. It's actually the second term or the middle term of the trinomial. And then enclose the binomial in a blank and raise to the blank power. Correct. We enclose them in a parenthesis and then we raise them on the second degree or second power. So this ends our video for today. I hope you learned about factoring perfect square trinomial. Once again, this is Ma'am Coren, your teacher. Have a great day, everyone.